Well, we have a quorum,
Yes, we have a quorum.
and that Peter Gower is going to have to take over as chair of the meeting
Yes.
so that we will be able to hear him online and the people in the audience can hear him as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Those of you who are here, those of you who are out in Zoom land, and particularly President Paul, who had another commitment in Toronto this evening and has asked me, I think, to run the show until he wants to interrupt to correct me. The annual general meeting, and then hopefully followed by our spooky. Paul, what are you not shaking your head for? That's
It's a moving target, so I don't kill myself.
Anyway, that the opening screen there, which a lot of you will have seen. A thank you to our donors, and a thank you to our sponsors who certainly help, along with your membership fees, to keep the society going. The meeting starts with a call to order, and I'm taking wherever it says Paul Charbonneau, I will take that today. The period of remembrance for members who have passed away during 2024. And I'd ask you to remember Audrey Cossa, Paul Fritz, Robert Gardner, Shirley Gibson Langill, Norma Kelly, Floyd Patterson, and George Turcott. And there were some long-term members there who certainly will be missed and whom you knew well. The approval of the agenda. This is the first part of the agenda. This is the second, that's the second part of the agenda. It's a standard annual general meeting agenda. Don, if you can do the spotting, I'm looking for a mover to approve the agenda. And I see Anne looking for a seconder to approve the agenda. See Pete again. Any questions on that agenda? And seeing none. No, I need to get back to the other screen for voting, don't I? Those in favor of accepting the agenda, those opposed, and I have none opposed here, and I'm assuming, unless I hear a scream, that all is okay. Each year, we award at least one in recognition of somebody who has done something very, very special, usually over a number of years. And this year, 2025, the award being given to Alan McLaughlin. And I'll read through. The Kingston Historical Society recognizes Alan McLaughlin in appreciation of his tireless efforts in support of the Society and local Kingston history over a period of 25 years. Alan McLaughlin served the Society first as an eager councillor, then as president, past president. After his service with the executive of the Society, Alan McLaughlin continued his work on council and is best recognized as the manager of the June 6th Sir John A. Macdonald gravesite ceremonies. During the 12 years he held this position, he worked diligently to make this commemoration of an important Kingston historical event, often under trying circumstances, as Sir John A. later became a figure of national controversy. He ensured that Kingston VIPs, such as the mayor, local MP, MPPs, as well as the Fort Henry Guard, were on site to add to the significance and importance of the ceremony. He was instrumental in bringing to the event speakers of national and political importance, and each of these speakers added to the threads of the history of Kingston. And perhaps the most important quality of Alan was his level-headedness in decision-making and his wonderful sense of humor. There is no question that Alan McLaughlin enriched the Kingston Historical Society and Kingston during his time, and he is richly deserving of this award. And I'm going to ask our secretary if you will accept this award and then take it on to Alan at your convenience.
Thank you.
Good.
So we now have an Oscars moment. Alan couldn't be here. Thanking on his behalf is the secretary. It has been a true honor and pleasure to have contributed to Kingston Historical Society in various ways and roles since coming on council in the year 2000. I am indebted to many council members past and present who, over the years, have assisted me and kept me on task with my various responsibilities. My greatest joy was to be involved with the 6th of June commemorative service on the death of Sir John A. Macdonald. It is very gratifying to know that your KHS Council is in the hands of a very dedicated, committed, and focused group. Wishing your 132-year-old KHS all the very best as it moves forward in the 21st century. I am very gratified that the Society has honored me with this award. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don, and thank you. Congratulations, Alan. Moving on to our proper agenda then. The minutes of the 2024 AGM, which I'm sure you've read. They've been on the website. There's the first part of them, second part, the third part, and the end of them. Questions? If you can flip through them, so that there's 1 page, 2 pages. Questions on any of those at all? And seeing none, again, I look for a mover to approve those as a correct record. Leanne and a seconder. Paul, thank you very much. Further last minute questions? And seeing none, those in favour, those opposed, and that is carried. We also had a special meeting on the 18th of September, which put the new bylaw in place, one that we're still struggling with in some cases. Yes. Was there any business arising? Since I had no questions, I assume there wasn't any. Any business arising from the March AGM 2024? And we're not hearing any there. Okay, so I assume that there is none. The September 18th, 2024 special general meeting. This was a short meeting that we held here, which approved the new bylaw 2. There is the minutes of it, and again, they have been posted on the website. Looking for a mover to approve those. Read again. And a seconder. Randall. Thank you. Questions, comments, or other on those minutes? And seeing none and hearing none. From Zoom, okay. Nobody talking, good. Those in favor of approving those minutes, those opposed, and those minutes then are carried. The President's report. Paul, is Paul able to speak?
I can hear him, but nobody else can.
You can hear him, but nobody else can. So this really goes through the year, his thanks, and a lot of you will have read this anyway. If you haven't read it yet, you can pick it up on our website. We will simply be doing, Don, is that right, one motion at the end to accept all the reports. So if you think of questions before we have finished, then there's another time to fit in. I will point out at the bottom, thanks to 2 retiring councillors, Alan McLaughlin and Vincent Durant, who have both been presidents over the years, plus an awful lot more. And Paul's thanks to them for the work that they did. The Secretary's report. Since Don's sitting next to me, do you want to add anything to what is written there? Questions? And seeing none, the Awards Committee report. And this is always a special one. The Government of Ontario, if you read in the middle, Volunteer Service Awards. We always take part of those, and we have, and here in the audience, Betty Andrews, 20 years of service. and Vincent 5, Alan's 20, we already talked about, Duncan in the audience here 5 years, and Tabitha, who was with us, is now in Ottawa, received her award for 5 years as well. So congratulations to the 5 of you, and thank you, Paul, for keeping track of all of those. It's never an easy job. Congratulations to them. And I've now got stuck up with my sweaty hand. There we go. My editor's report for Historic Kingston. A couple of comments that are not in this. Firstly, Historic Kingston 74, this year's one will be available on Sunday. And that's a reminder to all of you that the meeting that was cancelled last Sunday will be held this coming Sunday. And if you're there, you'll get your Historic Kingston. The other is an embarrassing admission, especially to the archivists and the librarians and the bibliophiles who like perfection. When I went to put my copy of Historic Kingston 74 on my shelf, I found I already had a 74. And on close inspection, I found that last year, the Kuwaitan edition was wrongly numbered. It's taken a year for me to find that out, and nobody else has mentioned it except Paul Treasurer has had a slew of questions from universities saying, what happened to our 1973 one, and why have we got this one so early? So we're now going to send an email to all around North America saying, sorry, it was our fault. So when you get to your bookshelf after Sunday to put it on, yes, you've now got 2 2024 books and no 2023. And my apologies, I still smile that I don't know how many of us looked at that. And it's so obvious. You don't look at the front cover, you check all through inside and Any other questions on Historic Kingston?
Well, there is a good side to that. They're paying twice. They think they missed one.
Oh, very, very good, Paul. Limelight, Betty, any comments? It's all there. Thank you for that wonderful monthly, 9 months, 10 months. I always forget, it changes sometimes in the summer. We got up to a much thicker edition at one point this year. We're now in color. We've got a wonderful series of pieces coming in as well. And it's really a worthwhile thing. I think when you look back, as I did earlier on in the year, and I mentioned it when I gave my historical talk, to the little Gestetner one-sided sheet that 50 years ago everybody thought was wonderful, that they got news at the next meeting, and then got their fingers dirty because it was still wet from the machine. What a change that we can now produce. Paul Van Nest, the high school awards. This is the second year, and as successful as ever. All of the schools took part. Each of the schools produced their own winner, and the winner received a $150 check for that. And I'd certainly thank the 7 members. Are they all members? Were some visitors who made the award, who actually presented the awards?
Yeah,
they were all members.
We
had somebody at every school, usually a member, and if not, and that included doing it in French. So thank you for those of you who did that. And it's certainly trying to support the history in the high schools, which is not an easy thing these days. History has sort of got left somewhere. The membership report, Paul Van Nest again, promising, and he's included in the first column there the members who had renewed by 31st December last year. So the 2025 figure, I'm sure, is far more than 49 now.
It's about 150.
150, there we go. And
we're still looking for another 50 folks.
Yep.
I'll take your checks afterwards.
Oh, or you can send them by Zoom, whichever is easiest. That's but it's a consistent number around that, as you can see, around 200, and we'll probably end up in that same number this year, which is very promising. The Mooney Tower. Leanne is here if you want to add anything extra on the Mooney Tower. A very successful year again, and building up, as most of you know, to this year, which will be the 100th year that we have had that tower open in our name. 1925 was the first year that President McDonnell talked the federal government into letting us use the tower, and it's been open ever since. The numbers on that sheet: 13,000 visitors, 244 guided tour participants, 14,000 website clicks. I don't know how you do that, and I look at the few that we get on our website. 750 coming to special events, 600 students, and some wonderful plans for this year, which we'll certainly keep you informed of. And I know at one point we had a question here, it may have been last year's AGM, of the possibility of tours from people living here. And I'm not sure that we ever actually picked that up. Did we? No, so we should keep that one in mind. Visitors from here, a special trip, and the problem is the access. But we can think. So, yeah. And there's the second part of the report. The program report. Duncan is here with us if he wants to make comments. Again, a very successful year, I think. A wide range of topics. And I think that's one of the strengths of the society. That January presentation, you remember, of the barbers in blackface. People probably didn't realize just how many blacks there were in Kingston in the 19th century and through to about 1920. The Family Day lecture from Jennifer McKendry, and so on through the year. As we ranged through a number of different topics. And I'm looking here for any questions, and I'm not sure how we're going to get them from Zoomland, but maybe at the end somebody will shout if there is. The publicity report. Thank you, Vincent. We're going to miss you for each month sending out a press release, which quite often appears, and I know you have absolutely no control over whether it's going to appear or not, but lets the public know. And brings in, we get visitors, brings in visitors. Yes, I saw it in this paper, I saw it in that. And certainly, if they are not here, we have a number of people who will write in for the Zoom address and watch us from their home, and then later on we'll watch when we record all of this to the YouTube channel. The Sir John A. Macdonald graveside ceremony, a wet one this past year. Absolutely poured. We moved it indoors a day early. You know, normally it's an hour early and you grab everything and rush inside. This time on the June the 5th, we looked and we said, we're not going outside in this. So we were very fortunate in being able to use the old Christchurch Anglican stone church, which had been cleaned and ready for us. And it made a very different ceremony in there. A number of people commented that it was most appropriate to be certainly inside away from the rain, but in that particular building. So those who were part of that, thank you. And just in passing, Archdeacon Bill Clark, who was the minister there, is retiring. And I don't know if we're going to be able to talk Bill into continuing being can he become our honorary chaplain or something, do you think? Because he does a wonderful job, and I'll have a talk with him anyway. The website committee, as I say, the biggest part of our webpage really is receiving questions. And we get questions on many, many things. Should I come to Kingston for my vacation? Is my great-great-grandfather buried in Kingston? And then a few which we can actually answer. And we've started I was going to say irregular, and I mean a not regular column in Limelight where we put some of those unanswerable questions out. And one which came today, so you won't have seen it yet, for instance, talked about a map that was drawn by Jim Warren in 1998, 1999 on what Portsmouth might have looked like. And apparently it was reproduced as a poster, which I have never seen. And the writer said, are there any copies around? So there's something for all of our members to dig through their wherever they keep their old stuff. The Treasurer's Report. Peter, you need to talk through this. Have we got more reports coming? That's the last one. Okay, so before the Treasurer's Report, we need a motion to receive all of the A to, what comes before L? K. Reports moved by Duncan. Seconder is Anne. Questions on any of those reports, your last chance. And seeing none, those in favor, those opposed, and we should be okay there. Thank you very much. Peter.
Yeah, the other Peter. Thank you. So there's my treasurer's report, but when I put it together, I didn't have the numbers, so it's kind of vague. So maybe we'll just move to the next slide. Sorry. Okay, I'll try and I'll lead this. So this is the revenue side of our statement of operations, and you'll see that we benefit from a large grant from the city for $63,000 to support the tower activities, and a couple of grants from the federal government. And the tower donations, we don't charge a fixed admission, but we ask for voluntary donations. So there was $22,000 there, and also donations are sought to celebrate the centennial of the tower. So we show $4,700, which matches the expenditure we made last year, and there's a carryover to the following year, and you'll hear about that later. Can I have the next slide, please? On the expenditure side, you'll see the matching centennial expenditures of $4,700. And the good news is at the bottom, well, you'll see the general account shows a surplus of nearly $6,000 last year, and the tower of $6,500. So that is the financial statements. The full package is available on the website, or there are a few copies here if you're really interested in numbers. So I will move the acceptance of the Society's financial statements for 2024. Duncan's going to second it. Any questions? None. All, you want me to call it? All in favor? Thank you. What's the next slide? I'm trying to read this presentation. Ratification of business conducted by council during the operating year 2024. This is a catch-all motion that we pass hopefully every year that endorses the actions of council. So I will move that we ratify the business of conducted by council during the operating year 2024. And I have a seconder. Who's that over there? Betty. Any questions? All those in favor? Wonderful. Budgets for the next year. This is the budgets that the council has approved for the next year. And I just bring these to your attention so you can see some of the activities being planned. You'll see a revenue transfer from reserves of $2,950. This is the general side of the ledger, and I'll talk to that in a moment. So we're looking at revenues approximately what we had last year. Next slide. On the expenditure side, down towards the bottom, there's an entry $3,000. That's the balancing off the transfer. And this is for the plaque that I hope Paul's working on. He probably, one of the balls he's got in the air fumbling with, whatever. But there's plans for a plaque to celebrate, what's his name?
Dr. Wafer.
Dr. Wafer, who was a Queen's Meds grad and served in the Civil War in the States, and resident of Pittsburgh. Yeah, resident of Pittsburgh Township, I guess, eh?
He was born and raised on Middle Road. And his office is diagonally opposite McDonald's statue where it used to be. That red brick house in the corner, that was his office.
So we're working on a plaque to celebrate him. And the budget, the general budget shows a surplus, we hope, by the end of the year. Next slide deals with the tower budget. And we had to recast our budget after the grants came out from the city, and we anticipated something similar to what we had in the past, but they disappointed us and reduced the number to $46,000. You'll recall we have a surplus from last year, so we've added some of that funds into our revenue stream for next year, $4,000. Next slide. And you can see the other major changes in the curator manager salaries. Sim left us at the end of last year, and we have had Alexa working part-time through to the middle of March, and then there will be 2 part-time people for the remainder of the year, so we're able to economize a bit there. So when you get to the bottom line, we're showing a deficit, but not significant given the size of the budget. So that's the tower budget. Next page. This is the centennial celebration budget. We have carryover of donations we already have in hand of nearly $16,000. The city provides $5,000 from Heritage Grant, and we're going to, that surplus that we saw last year, we're going to add that to the pot. That will now allow us to fund the children's book and the art exhibition that will happen in the tower over the summer, and there are a couple other events to celebrate the centennial of the tower. So those are funded, all those things are funded from the donations that we brought in. Next page. So, yeah. So at this point, we have to appoint our accountants for the next year. And so I'm going to make a motion to retain Doan, Grant, Thompson, or Thornton, which we probably better known as Secker Ross Perry, but that's what they're part of now. And to prepare the financial statements for the 2025 year. So I'll make that motion. Randall. Everybody's happy with those. So are the accountants. Yes, all in favor? Okay, one last motion from me and then I can sit down. We appoint a non-council member to review the financial records of the society each year, because that's not something the accountant does. We save a little money by not having them do it. And Doug Petty's done it for a few years and he's offered to do it again. So I'll move that Doug Petty be appointed as the non-council member to review the financial records of the society for 2025 and to report to the members of the next 2026 AGM. Seconder. Oh, guess it fails. Paul? Paul. Oh, he's over there. I thought it was going to fail because we didn't have a seconder. All in favor? I think this carried.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul, for Peter, for all of that. Yeah, thank you, Paul, for putting your hand up at the right moment. That leaves us at the nominations and the elections of the board. Vincent Durant was in charge of looking at these. As you know, we had 2 people leaving, Alan McLaughlin and Oh, Vincent himself, that's right. I'm looking at his name and wondering, that's right. And we have two new people on this list, Cat McDonald and Stevens. And so that brings us back to our regular number. And as the note says, the names appearing above are people who have agreed to serve on the Kingston Historical Society Board of Directors for the 2025-2026 year. Looking for a motion to approve that list. And I guess it should be somebody who's not on the list. That's right. So I see Eve and I see Anne Richardson and saw lots of other hands as well. Any comments, questions? Eva Barnes. Any nominations from the floor or from Zoomland? And hearing none, that's right. Looking then, I think we're through on that. We won't redo the votes. It didn't change. Thank you, Vincent, for your last job as on our executive, and thank you for getting next year well on its way. Now, Paul, can you hear Paul Charbonneau at all?
If he speaks, yes.
Okay, Paul Charbonneau, any new business or any new business from anybody else?
I have none.
Paul has none. Anything else that people? Oh, you do. Well, thank you very much. That will be recorded in the minutes. I would just say, I'm sure most of the people here don't realize that you're in Toronto with the Paramedic Association. And that started off with the Monday difficulty at Toronto Airport, where I know a number of your members just happened to be coming into the conference and took part in that rescue and in the help. So I'm sure it's been a difficult time with you. And certainly my thought, and I know others were hoping all is going well. And thank you for finding time tonight to be with us. And
Paul, can you pass along this message, please?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Peter. It has been a tough week. And one of the passengers on that plane was our keynote speaker, a paramedic from Minnesota.
One of the passengers on that plane was their keynote speaker from Minnesota.
He has survived, as everybody did.
He survived, as everybody did.
But he was the first responder.
He was the first responder on the scene.
Despite his injuries,
his
paramedic skills kicked in. And he helped save lives and comfort injured.
He helped save lives and comforted the injured. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, thank you very much for those words, Paul. Anything else before we adjourn? And seeing and hearing. Okay.
Oh. So part of my first apology now extends to a second apology. We have this video, which, by the way, is 2.5 gigabytes. It takes a little while to download. It works beautifully. It's very dark because it's shot inside the Murney Tower. The story behind it is that there's a group of three men from the Six Nations and the Brantford area on the Grand River, my hometown. And they are modern Ghostbusters. Whether they were motivated by the movie or not, I do not know, but I bet they were. But they had equipment, unbelievably, and they brought Simji, who, of course, is the past curator for the Murney Tower. They brought her along, and the four of them are videotaped talking to and seeing ghosts in the Murney Tower. One was a little girl, one was the lady. They all concurred that she was wearing, as I recall it, a white long dress, and there was a man who stood at the top of the stairs. And I said in my note to you all, I said, bring your cynicism along. And the plan was for us to see that 22-minute video and then not only discuss it, but Simji was to be online and she would talk on behalf of, well, let's say the anti-cynics, because though she went into it with great trepidation and curiosity, she went into it wholeheartedly and she really got into it. And I'd love you to hear that part of the story. So we're not going to let this go, folks. We're going to figure this out. But the problem is, of course, in Zoomland, they can see and hear it. You can see it, you can't hear it. So, and then we've got them not being able to be heard by us.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. Don, did we officially finish the meeting? Oh, we need an adjournment. Need a mover to adjourn the meeting. And I see just about everybody's hands up. Thank you over there. And